So we said we were going to go ahead and focus on this on a more complex scale, and we actually have this now where we have our first example in geometry. This one looks a lot different than what I've seen before, and the reason why we do this is because a lot of times in school we go ahead and do homework, or we go ahead and learn something in class and then we take a test, and something that we learned looks nothing like what the test question is. So we're going to go ahead and get used to this so when we see something it doesn't surprise us. The first thing we have, it says name 3 collinear points. So we have this huge mess right here. How do we go ahead and find out what's collinear? Well, let's actually just understand first what collinear means. Collinear has the word line in it, so we're only going to look at anything that has a line. So we're going to look at this, and we're going to look at this. Good. Okay, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and identify these lines. Let's identify this as line Z, and I'm going to write it in cursive because, remember, we want to identify lines in handwriting so we don't get it confused with the points. And let's do this as line X. Okay, so now we have to identify 3 collinear points. Well, look at line X. It has 3 points on there, right? And the funny thing is, line X has point E, point F, and point G. Remember, they all have to share the same line. So we can say that line X would give us the points that are 3 collinear points, or we would say E, F, and G, because that's how we write our points. So our answer is really E, F, and G, because line X has the points, but the points, because it's saying name 3 collinear points, are E, F, and G. They are points that share the same line. Good job. Now, 2 says name 4 coplanar points. Okay, so we have to find 4 coplanar points. And before we do that, let's go ahead and make this a D. This is a D right here. So we have 4 coplanar points. Well, let's look at our plane, because coplanar, we want to think of plane. What points are in there? Well, sometimes I have students that say X. X is not a point. X is the line. So that one is X'd out of the equation here. Doesn't count. So do we have 4 points in here that are on the plane or share the same plane? We actually do. We have E, F, G, and D. So those would be the answer to that. So it would be D, E, F, and G because they share the same plane. Good. All right. Now, 3. Let's go ahead and try this one on your own first, okay? It says name 3 points that are not, okay? 3 points that are not collinear. Remember, collinear, they share the same line, so now we just have to do the opposite on this. All we have to do is find points that do not share the same line. So let's go ahead and find points that do not share the same line. Let's see here. We have line Z. Now, when you see these dashed lines, in geometry, basically, what that's telling us is you're looking see-through. You're looking through the plane. So it's our way of showing that the line just continues through and it comes right out of the plane right here. But let's see. Let's find 3 points that don't share the line. So first, let's see. Why don't we pick line Z, because that only has 2 points on it, so it makes it easier for us. Okay. So we have E, we have D, and we have H, because none of those points have anything in common with a line. E does not go on Z, and D does not go on Z, which is good. D does not go on any of the points, which is perfect, and H does not go on line X, where E is, so we know that E, D, and H are 3 points that are not collinear. They do not share anything when it comes to the line. So we could say E and D are coplanar though, right? Because they share the same plane, but E and D are not collinear because they do not share the same line. Again, let's go over that one more time just in case you got confused here. If we look at line X, we see E is on there, but D and H are not on line X, which is perfect because that means that E has nothing in common as far as being collinear with these. Then we look at D, and that's an easy one because D is not on any line, so D cannot be collinear with anything, because remember, collinear means they share the same line. I know, I sound like a broken record, but it's just so we can understand this. And then finally, we have line Z, and we have H. Now, the reason why we want to compare E and D is because they are not on line Z, which means that H is not collinear with E or D, so we can say that E, D, and H are 3 points that are not collinear. Good job.